Good morning, you bad, beautiful bitches. It is Wednesday morning. I sit down with a fellow couch king out there turning trash to cash. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax. This is an Elements Podcast. I'll bring it full circle of how you and I met for the viewers.
Sure.
Because I was telling her about this the other day, and he was in like disbelief that you and I first met. For those of you that don't know, this is gonna be a heavy entrepreneurial episode. Fellow couch flipper here. Hello, this is big. I woke up juiced. I'm excited for every guest, but you in particular, I was like, yeah,
really?
This is a man cut from the same cloth.
Right.
For those of you who don't know about the couch game, when I got out of school, I had $60,000 worth of student loan debt. I paid it off in 2 years, all by finding things for free on Facebook Marketplace and then reselling them. And I thought I was like unique and special by doing that, and then come to terms, a shit ton of people were also in the same game. I was similar to you, where I saw Gary doing it online with mugs.
Yeah, that's how I started.
And then, so I'm doing it. I move out of my parents' house. This was like, so 2019, I'm now debt free, all from student loans. So I was paying $3,000 a month every month for 2 years straight to pay off the student loan debt.
Yeah.
To pay off that student loan debt. I now have a storage unit in Medford, and I'm seeing a gentleman every other day, every 3 days maybe.
Yeah.
Also coming in with furniture, and we're kind of the first few interactions. I think we were just giving each other like the look of like,
yeah, we would just wave at each other.
Yes, yeah.
And then I remember my mom would say like, "Oh, that's the guy in the blue truck."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we didn't know your name.
Right.
We didn't know who you were. But we would see you carrying couches and treadmills and all these things. And we were like, oh, that's the guy.
Yeah. And then come to find out, him and I talk, and I realize we're doing the same thing.
We're doing the same thing, yeah.
And I was like, I thought I was like one of one in Boston, me in my own little world, you know. I was like, oh, no one else is picking up with this stuff.
Yeah.
And then coming to find out, you do it full time. And then the crazier part is I list a couch. I now move storage units to a different storage unit. Mm-hmm. I list this couch, and this guy messaged me saying, hey, can I buy this? And who shows up? It's this guy.
It's me, yeah.
And we had like a Spider-Man moment of like...
No, and it's funny because they say, the typical, hey, is this still available? And you said like, yeah, it's still available. And I was like, I'm the guy from Medford.
Right.
And you were like, oh, right. Dude.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we chopped it up for probably 2 hours.
Right.
And your story on this is so cool, how it is a mother-son business.
Right.
Both full-time.
Yeah.
Walk us through like early days of how you got started in the flip world, and then bring us into, how you got mom to leave her corporate job and come in with you on this.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here.
Totally.
Very happy to be here. So when I started, I was working for a marketing agency. So this was right after college. And I wasn't very happy with it. So I started watching Gary Vee, and I started watching all these videos. And you know how he gets all pumped up and he's like, don't you want to be fucking happy?
Yep.
And I was like, I do want to be fucking happy. Like, what? Yeah, that's me. What do I need to do? And I remember he was like, just start flipping stuff just on the weekends. And that's what I started doing. So on the weekends, I started going to Goodwill. And you would see me on Goodwill. I had eBay pulled up, and I would just check out every item at Goodwill, and I would buy whatever I think I could flip, I would buy it. So think shoes, mugs, pretty much anything that I could flip, I would buy it.
Right.
And then I would post it on eBay, and that's how I started. But it wasn't enough money.
Right.
So I was making like $30, $40 per item.
Right.
And I was like, there's gotta be a better way. You know what I mean? Because I was telling you about this. I got a theory that the bigger the item that you flip, the more money you make. And so I was like, if I keep flipping mugs, then I'm never gonna get out of my 9 to 5.
Right.
And I always wanted to do that. And so I remember watching Gary Vee one day, and he was like, "Just quit your fucking job. Like you can get a 9 to 5 later. If you can get another boring job later in life." So I was like, I really need to quit, but I didn't know how. So I remember this one day, I found this free chair on Craigslist. So at the time, I didn't have a car, so I had to hop on the train. I went pick up the chair. And this chair was all stained and stuff. I brought it back to my room.
Did you have to bring the chair back on the train?
On the train,
Let's go.
yeah. That's what I did. Yeah. And so I had this chair in my room, and I was like, okay, this is all stained. I have to clean it somehow. I didn't know anything about cleaning.
Right.
So I literally grabbed vinegar and I started just kind of scrubbing it.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden, I made it worse. So my room was smelling like vinegar. I had these chairs sitting in my room. It's all stained. And I'm like, I need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was already watching Ryan Pineda.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
You know, the other couch flipper,
yes.
the OG.
Yes.
And he was like, just put free delivery on the headline. And that's exactly what I did. So I remember posting it on Facebook Marketplace. I said, free delivery, just white chair for $20.
Yep.
You know, remember I got it for free. So a couple of days later, this woman is like, hey, can you bring this to this train station? And I'll pay you in cash. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I hop on the train with this smelly chair. People would stare at me, dude. They were like, what is this guy doing with this chair?
Yeah.
And I remember giving this chair to this lady, and she gave me $20. Wow. And I was like, okay, so if I can sell a chair, I'm pretty sure I can sell a couch.
Yep.
So then I called my mom, and I'm like, hey, do you want to start selling couches?
Which at the time, did she think you were like
she wasn't
losing your mind?
She was like, can we do something else?
Right.
Do you think we can maybe sell something different?
Because she was couches? In corporate America as well,
She was
right?
corporate, yeah. She has a background in technology. So she's worked for Google, Microsoft, all these, Silicon Valley companies. So she loved the 9 to 5 world.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't.
Yes,
And so it was very interesting because I was like, well, here's the idea. We get a couch and then we flip it for whatever we think is worth the couch.
Yep.
And that's it. And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, let's just give it a try. And so I hopped on Craigslist. I found, and this is where it gets crazy, I found these sectional for free. And I told my mom, we need to pick this up because the couch is in pristine condition. This is in mint condition. We need to pick it up. And my mom, we didn't have a truck at the time, so I used my mom SUV.
Okay, yep. Oh, wow. They must looked at you crazy when you pulled up an SUV.
So the guy was like, it's not going to fit. And I was like, yeah, it's going to fit.
We're leaving here with this guy.
I was like, we need to make 2 trips because this is not going to fit in just 1 trip. And he was super cool about it. He helped us out and stuff. And then we brought it back to the unit. We cleaned it. And then I remember posting it for $500.
Let's go.
A couple of days go by, nothing. 3 days go by, nothing. A week goes by, nothing. And then all of a sudden, these guys like, I love this couch. Can you bring it to me? And this guy lived in Somerville. I still remember this. And we were in Malden at the time, actually. So it was super close. So we delivered the couch, and he gave us $500 in cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I got this couch for free. And then we flipped it for $500. Like, we're on to something.
Yep.
So then the next weekend, because remember, I'm still working at 9 to 5.
Right.
The next weekend, we pick up another couch, and it's this leather heavy old couch. And I was like, dude, like, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this. These guys, like, this is not going to fit in your SUV. I'm going to put it in my truck, and then I'm going to drive you to Malden, which he did.
Wow.
And then, and then he helped us out to stage it and stuff. Then we took pictures. The next day, dude, this woman is like, hey, can you bring this to Beverly?
Yeah.
For $500. So we were like, oh my God, what do we do now? And we didn't have a truck, right?
Yeah.
So I hopped on these groups on Facebook, and I was like, I need someone that has a truck that helps me to, bring this couch to this woman. And these guys like, I'll help you. So we load the couch, and then we bring it to Beverly. She gives me $500 in cash. And I'm like, that's it. I got to quit.
Yep.
So a couple of days later, I quit cold turkey.
Wow.
I don't even have a plan.
So it took literally the 2 couches.
Yeah.
$500 per couch.
Right.
$1,000 total. And you were like, I'm leaving.
It took 2 weeks. And I was like,
Wait, what were you making at the time? Just to put it in perspective for people that are like, that are also maybe in a similar spot that we were.
I think I was making, I think it was 45,000 a year.
45, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You
Right
saw
now,
1,000, you're like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even give a fuck if I'm making less money because this is something that I enjoy and
Just
that I like.
on your own time.
And I wanna do something that's mine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the time, I had a totally different idea of entrepreneurship than what I do now. But I was like, I wanna quit my fucking job. You know, I had Gary Vee's voice in my head all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I fail, I fail.
Right.
I can find another job later. So I quit. I remember everyone being like, why are you quitting? Like, where are you going? And I'm like, I can tell you, you know, because at the time I didn't want to tell people that I was sleeping couches for a living.
I know for me, whenever anyone would ask, I would like try to avoid the question like the plague. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh yeah, it's like a hobby. I never had a good answer, you know, to it because it does. It sounds crazy.
And you never know what to tell to people because then they're like, oh, you went to college. I remember telling my dad, and my dad was like, so this is why you went to college? And I was like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like this is my life. It's my little project.
Right.
And if I fail, I fail.
Right. Totally.
But I think that, you know, we're so used to, you know, going to college and then graduating and then getting a 9 to 5 and then that's acceptable. But the moment you want to start a business, then that's like frowned upon. That's 100%. Like you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
That's too risky. You know what I mean? Yep. So I think that my dad, and I remember a couple of people were telling me at the time, like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
And this is when COVID was still a thing.
Yep.
So they were like, you shouldn't start a business during COVID. And I was like, this is the perfect time to start a business.
When in an economic downturn, it's the best time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the opposite advice.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna mute all these voices.
Yes.
I'm just gonna listen to Gary Vee.
Yes.
And that's how it all started, man.
Dude, my dad was the same. So this was 2017. I just graduated. $60,000 of student loan debt at the time.
Right.
My parents would park on the street and I would use their garage bay to basically store all this furniture.
Yeah.
And then it started with an old couch that they had in the basement that I posted. I think I got $100 for it. And same reaction. I was like, well, I kind of had the same theory. It was like the size, if we could sell a physically large item, you know, you could get more money for it.
Right.
And then $100, and then it was like I picked up 2 more the next day, and then it was like a week later, both sold $200-$300 a couch, and then I was all in. Then I'd fill my parents' garage, and you know this, like you stack them the long way.
Up. Yeah.
And I probably their garage bay was probably 10 by 20, maybe. It's probably the same size as the storage unit that I have now, so I'm using that as a reference. Probably 10 by 20. And I probably could get 10 couches in there the long way, you know? And then my dad's like, every sale, my dad was like, this is a fluke. Like, there's no way this like is going to keep.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you're doing this.
Yeah.
And then finally, like, it went on for so long. He's like, you got to get a storage unit. And that was the best advice.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the tougher love I needed because once I got a storage unit, I was in New Hampshire at the time.
Right.
So you could get big storage units for, I think I had like a storage unit, you could literally fit an RV in. I think it was 10 by 30.
What?
And you'll love this being a storage unit guy. I was paying, it started at like $115 for that. Okay. And then it went up to, I think by the time I left, it was like $275.
Oh, wow.
This room's probably 10 by, it was probably a little bit bigger than this room.
That big.
You know? And it was a steal. And I could just,
That's awesome.
It was a volume game. Like, my phrase at the time was, 1 couch a day keeps the student loans away.
There's no way.
So I was like,
is that right?
That was what in my mind. Because you know how it is. Like some days you're like, you can't find anything.
Yeah.
Or then you start to feel a little desperate. So you're like, all right, I'll take a couch that like.
Or you don't have enough sales.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're like, oof. And so I'd pick 1 couch up every single day. And it literally, if you have 10 couches, imagine having, you do this probably currently. Like imagine having 10 plus couches for sale. Like my issue, and I think the biggest, I'm curious like what your rebuttals are that you get from people, because mine is definitely someone will have one item, they'll have one item for sale. And if someone doesn't buy this item within a week or two, they think the whole thing's full of shit. Like, this isn't going to work.
Whereas
if you had, you know, a bunch of different items, shapes and sizes, different prices, you're going to sell these in a few days and that in a few days. And all of a sudden you're like,
there's definitely a lot of strategies around that. I mean, I've heard people that have started flipping couches and then they're like, I bought these for $200 and just sold it for $50. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, you're losing money on this.
Right.
And they're like, this doesn't work. This is crap. And I'm like, well, how long did you wait before you sold it? And they're like, oh, just a couple of hours. And I'm
they give it to the first buyer. Yeah.
Like you had to wait.
Yeah.
You have to be able to negotiate.
Right.
And these are skills that you develop over time.
Right.
Like when you start, you don't know anything about couch flipping, but the more you do it, the more you learn.
Totally.
And I think that's the beauty about entrepreneurship. The more you take action, the more you learn. The more mistakes you're going to make.
Right. 100%.
And that's super frustrating. But at the same time, you learn so you don't make those mistakes again.
Right. The thing I love about you, which really blew me away when we first met and I looked kind of more into you, like I would get a couch. I kid you not. If you gave me a couch, I don't even touch it. I physically put it in my storage unit. I'm not vacuuming. I'm not cleaning. No upholstery work. And then my other rule was it's got to be for free. So every one of my couch, even to this day, like it's always been a free couch, and then I never put anything back into it. Right. I literally just take 10 photos and now a video.
No, I've seen your photos.
Yeah, and then I think I loved about you was like you really put a business around this. You know what I mean?
We did.
You. Like back when we were at the same storage unit, I'd walk in and him and his mom would be, you know, the vacuums are going, the spray cleaners are going.
Yeah. We had people just checking out the couches.
Yeah, it was like a showroom in there. Yeah. And even when you know, sometimes I saw you guys would like wrap the couches too to keep them.
We still do that sometimes.
Like, and I was like that. And then the coolest part, like I would just take the 10 photos and put it on, offer up, and face the marketplace again. Where did you get to a point where you were like, okay, I'm going to put a business around this and create my own website?
So the website, we started thinking about that last year.
Yep.
Because, you know, Facebook is so glitchy.
Yeah.
And then Craigslist, sometimes there's so many scammers on there. So we were like, we want to build a brand around this. And so that's when I started thinking about building a website. And then, you know, I talked to my mom and I was like, hey, you have all this background.
Yep.
Why don't you do it? So if you visit my website today, that's all my mom. That's
she designed the whole thing?
She designed the whole thing.
She comes from that world.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Everything that you see on the website, she did it. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And so she's very proud of that. I'm very proud of her because of that.
Yeah.
And so she's actually very well versed in this world of building websites.
Right.
And so, you know, she's always thinking about the colors and, you know, maybe we should change this, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. And I'm like, all right, I mean, that's fine with me.
Totally.
And so, and I was thinking about this a couple of days. When you start a business, you don't have to build a website right away.
Right.
Or you don't have to think about the logo. You don't have to think about these things.
Totally.
Right? You only need a product. And then you need 3 sales. Could be your friends, could be your father, could be your mother. You need to make those 3 sales,
right?
And then start scaling from there,
right?
Because a lot of people get caught up on these things like, oh, I gotta build a website and I gotta build a logo and I gotta.
What are we gonna name it?
You know, I gotta start an Instagram website.
Right.
You know, you gotta do all these things. When in reality, you need sales.
Yes.
You need to start bringing that money in.
Right.
And so I feel like that's how we started. We focused on the sales first, and then we started just thinking about the branding and the website and the logo after a couple of years.
Right. What the other biggest rebuttal I'll get from people is, oh, well, you have a truck, so you can go and get these. I don't have a truck. When did you switch over from your mom's SUV to then, did you just save up enough dollars to purchase the truck that you have now?
Well, we had savings, so that was one thing that I forgot to tell. I had savings, so I was able to just pay for rent and stuff while we were just making those first sales. And my mom also had savings. But when we started scaling, we were like, we need a truck for this.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just be driving, couches around with your SUV.
Yeah.
So my mom knows someone in the South, in Louisiana, and these guys started taking pictures of different trucks. And that's when we found the truck. The one that you saw outside, that's the one that we bought.
Old Faithful.
Yeah. So that's when we brought the truck over here, and
Hell yeah.
that's how we started. Yeah.
I had like the first company I was at out of college was a power tool company. So I would drive to like Home Depot and sell power tools, and they gave you a truck.
Oh, okay.
Which was like, for me, I was driving this like beat up 2006 Seafoam Green Ford Fusion.
Oh, wow.
Thing was on its. I paid for it with my own money. It was my first like big purchase, you know.
Right.
And then post college, got a truck from the employer that I was at, and then I would use that off hours and weekends to just cram as many couches in it, you know, as possible. But I was telling you this off air. I had a buddy who is a real estate agent who was driving this little like 4-door, you know, sedan at the time, saw what I was doing with the furniture, traded that in and got a truck, and now does the same thing you and I do.
Right.
And oddly enough, one of his first real estate clients came from, you know,
That's great.
A couch sale.
That's great.
But what's been, I know we talked about this a little bit at the storage unit a couple weeks ago. What's been your craziest flip?
Dude, I have so many stories.
Hell yeah.
I feel like the biggest one is, this was last summer actually. So I had this leather couch for sale, and these guys like, can I go see the couch? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, same process. It's always the same drill.
Oh yeah.
You know, they come
Same
over,
4
I
questions.
say hi. Yeah, exactly. So then this guy comes over, and then he brings his wife, his 5 kids.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
it's like all these kids running around. I'm like, all right.
You're like,
so I
shoes
go-
off, please.
Yeah.
No one.
So I'm like, hey, I'm Nick. You know, it's like pretty common. I
Yeah.
always go like, hey, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you. This guy doesn't shake my hand. He's like, hey. And he just keeps on walking. And I'm like, okay, we're off to a bad start.
Yeah.
And then the lady didn't say hi to me either. So I'm like, all right, this is very odd. Because sometimes people are like, hey, you know,
Right.
I'm Kevin. Nice to
Right.
meet you. How are you?
They also want to make sure, like, when I first meet someone, I try to go like over the top, happy, bubbly.
Yeah.
That way they think like, okay, he's not a murderer. You
Yeah,
know? Like,
exactly.
this is,
yeah.
we're gonna have a great
no,
time.
I've
here.
had people being like, I thought this was a scam because you know this is a public storage. This is a storage facility.
Yo.
And so yeah. But anyway, so they come over. He doesn't shake my hand. He starts checking out the couch. Then we finally settle on a price, and the couch had a rip. And he's like, hey, can you fix this? And I'm like, yeah, I can fix it. And he's like, when can you deliver? I go, I can deliver tomorrow. Because I think that day was raining.
Yep.
So I was like, I can deliver tomorrow. He's like, okay, that's fine. As long as you fix that rip. I'm like, all right, fine. That same night, I send this text, which is something that I do with every customer. I send a text once I have the address where I say, all sales are final.
Okay. Yep.
If you need help to bring the couch inside, we charge an additional fee for that.
Yep. That's a great
So
line.
I always
That's
say,
a phenomenal
if
line.
you need, we drop it off in front of your house or apartment complex.
Yes.
If you need help to bring it inside, we charge $100 for that.
Yep.
And then I say, you know, you can pay cash, Venmo, Zelle, whatever. And this guy doesn't say anything. And he finally, a couple of hours later, I check the conversation and he sends a thumbs up. So I'm like, all right, that just you know, that just made me understand that, you know, he actually checked the.
He read it.
He read it, exactly.
Yep.
So the next day, we load the couch, we go over there. And I remember bringing my mom. I was like, this guy is crazy. He's super rude.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want you to come with me so you can see how
Yeah,
he behaves around us.
Yeah.
So anyways, we get there. He's late. Finally, he pulls up with one of his kids. His kid is like 7. I don't know. So my mom is like, who is going to help him to bring the couch inside? So I was like, probably his kid. I don't know. So he's like, so she's like, I don't know. This is weird. So anyways, he's like, he doesn't say anything to my mom. He's like, oh, hi. He's super rude all the time.
Yeah,
like he has this strange vibe. So we set the couch on the sidewalk. And then she's like, did you fix that rip? And I was like, yeah. And my mom is like, I fixed it. You know,
Yeah.
she's like, I fixed it.
Yeah.
And
She's a sweetheart.
And he's like, how'd you fix it? And she's like, with magic. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, why are you
Right.
being like this? Anyway, so after this, and things get crazier after this. So He's like, all right, let's just bring it inside. So then he looks at my truck. He looks at the back of my truck. He sees a dolly. And he's like, oh, you have one of those? So he literally reaches and grabs the dolly, tosses it on the ground. He's like, all right, let's just put the couch on the dolly. And I'm like, all right. So we put it on the dolly. And I'm like, I'm just going to wheel it into the elevator.
Yep.
I'm not going to help you to bring it into the apartment because you got to pay for that.
Right.
Which is something that I've learned. Which is you gotta charge for everything. You know what I mean? Like
I might have to take a page out of your book there for sure.
No, because I mean, if you're gonna deliver, you gotta charge for that.
Yep.
If you're gonna help the person, you gotta charge for that.
Right.
You know, it's your job.
Right.
This is something that you do every day. So why wouldn't you charge for that?
Yeah. And it saves you from like. There's been so many scenarios where I'll get there. It'll be just me and the guy that's buying it. And I'm like, oh, I want to bring it inside. And then you're there for like an hour and a half because it'll be one of those like, if it's a building in the north end, you know, and the stairway's like super tight.
No,
you're like,
totally.
You're sweating your ass off.
Or if it's in like Somerville, you got to move your truck. It's crazy. Yeah.
100. It's the worst. There was an instance where we brought this recliner. You know the weight of those things. We're bringing this recliner.
God, those are so heavy.
Up this woman's stairs, this colonial staircase. And we had it where the feet, which were not with the little, foam on the bottom. It was just a metal, foot. The feet were against the wall. And I told the lady, I was like, hey, it's a little close to the wall. Like, make sure we push it towards the railing.
Yeah.
The guy pulling it doesn't listen. The claws of the all the way up.
No way.
I'm on the bottom of the couch, like he's above me up a couple stairs. I'm just covered in sawdust and drywall debris, and I'm like,
you're like coughing at the.
Yeah, exactly. They were definitely. It was like a husband and wife. They were definitely like a fight before I showed up, and then he probably like didn't want the couch, and she did.
Yeah.
And he's just like, let's just get it up there, and yeah. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take a page from your book and charge for.
So then we wheel it into the lobby. So the elevator opens up, and I remember just bringing the couch inside. I grab the dolly, and I give him all the cushions, and the kid is in the elevator. So he's like, Daniel, close the fucking door. You know what I mean? Like, he's so rude to the kid. And I'm like, oh, my God. So anyway, so the elevators start closing, and he's like, where are you going? You got to help me.
Oh, boy.
How am I going to bring these inside? And I'm like, well, if you're going to pay, like at this moment, I was already like, this is crazy.
Like, did he pay yet?
So
did you have the money already?
No, because they pay once the couch is once I deliver. So that's another thing. I say you pay once the couch is in front of your house, or your apartment complex. If you need help, then you pay once the couch is in your apartment, not before that.
Yep.
And so he's like, you gotta fucking help me. How am I gonna bring this in? And I'm like, well, if you're gonna pay for the couch and if you're gonna pay for the service, I can help you.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want this fucking couch. And he grabs the cushions and he throws it out of the elevator.
What a maniac.
And I'm like, all right, if you don't want the couch, that's fine. So I turn around. My mom is standing right in front of the truck. And I'm like, hey, he doesn't want the couch. And my mom, she's like witnessing all of these things. Yeah. This stranger is literally yelling at her son.
Right.
So I see her face. She's fuming. And my mom is very tiny. You've seen her.
Oh, yeah. So and the nicest thing ever. Like, anytime I've seen her, it's like always like big waves. And,
So she's this tiny woman, and she's like fuming, and she's like, that's okay. That's fine. We can take it back. And I'm like, all right, dude, you can give me the couch back. That's fine. And he's like, no. I need help. And I'm like, if you're gonna pay for the fucking service, because I was already pissed. I was super upset. I was like, if you're gonna pay for the service, we can help you out. The other piece, I told him, the other piece is not gonna fit in the elevator. We're gonna have to bring it up the stairs.
Oh God.
So if you're gonna pay for that, I'll be more than happy to help you. And he's like, oh, I didn't know about this. And I was like, yeah, you did. Because I sent you the freaking text. So anyways, we bring this couch inside. And then from that moment on, it was just super tense. I mean, we didn't talk, and it was just crazy. I was like, well, I could be selling you a couch, but you don't have the right to treat me like that.
Right.
So I think that was one of the craziest ones.
I know I was telling you this one back when we were in the storage unit too. We picked up a 3-seater microfiber couch in East Boston. And the girlfriend gave it to us for free. This was during COVID. Me and a couple buddies were just like bored. And they were out of work at the time. And I was like, why don't you guys jump in with me? We'll just ride around and pick up couches. And I'll give you guys a % of whatever we pick up when it sells. And pick this couch up, bring it back to storage. I get a call, allegedly. I get a voicemail. I got to find it so I can play it back from the Boston Police Department saying, it's been reported that a couch was taken from this address and they need it back immediately.
What?
Turns out it was a guy impersonating an officer to try to get me to return the couch. And I forget, it was like right before the 4th of July. So I was like with family, not really on my phone. So I wasn't, and I go to Facebook and I have like 100 missed messages from this guy. Long story short, I'm like, oh dude, zero problem. Like, let me know the date. I'll bring it back. And he's like, no, I need it right now. So it was like on 4th of July. He drives to my storage unit, shows up in this little 2-seater Mercedes. And I'm, you know me, I'm like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
How was the drive in? You know, how are you putting this 3-seater couch in your little 2-seater sports car?
Yeah.
And same deal. Doesn't shake my hand. Barely looks at me.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where's the couch?" And goes to the couch, rips open the middle cushion. It's full of cash. Full of cash.
No way, dude.
Like no, you know how like you open a couch and it's like all the stuffing and feathers and stuff.
Right.
It was nothing. It was just those little white liners at the top of the couch.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was wadded up, looked like a can, wadded up hundreds.
My God. How much do you think it was on the couch?
It was the whole middle couch cushion.
Oh my God.
Like, so, and it was the wads of hundreds, literally looked like the bottom of like just really tightly wound up. And he grabs it all, starts laughing, like gives me a big hug. Allegedly, it was his savings account for college.
Right.
And I was like, obviously, that's where we all keep our money.
Yeah.
Unbelievable interest in a microfiber couch. And after that, now I give each cushion a good push down to see what's in there.
Did I tell you that story? We got a free couch one day. We were going to pay for the couch. And when we went to check it out, these guys like, just take it. Like, I don't want it anymore.
Yep.
And during those first weeks, this was when we first started. My mom was like, imagine if we found cash in one of these couches. And I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think people are, like that.
Right.
And so we picked up this couch, we bring it back to the unit, and we started vacuuming it. And then we found $100 bill. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I remember this one time we found an iPhone.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
There we go. What a score.
Yeah. But we couldn't sell it because it was, I don't know, sometimes I think it was broken or something.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Dude, that is the fun of the flip life, is like half of it is just the joy of the hunt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find.
Right. Exactly.
And you never know what kind of couch you're going to end up buying.
Yes.
Because there's been couches that we've bought for like literally $200, $300. And we've sold them for like $1,300, $1,400.
People, that's why I was so excited to jam with you, because I used to post about it a bunch. I don't really talk that much about it like current day.
Yeah.
But the profit margins is insane. You know, I've gotten free sectionals, like, and you know the type in particular, like off-white, big piece sectional, and each piece is kind of separate. Like, I've gotten those for free.
Yeah.
You could sell them for like $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 easy.
Yeah.
Without, and then tack on delivery. And
so here's the thing. People always think like, oh, but you're grabbing, somebody else can use this couch that you're grabbing for free. Someone that's just starting out.
Yep.
So why are you profiting off of someone else's couch? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, this is a couch that could be used for someone else. But what I always say to that is, we always bring the couches in, we clean them, we disinfect them.
Yep. Right.
We make sure that there's nothing wrong with them.
Yep.
We fix them sometimes. We fix the frames. We fix the fabric.
Right.
So you're getting a clean couch. You're getting a high quality couch.
Right.
And, it's not dirty.
You're a better man than me. When I get those comments, I'm like, oh.
You're like, I don't give a fuck.
I'm like, I'm not cleaning it. Well, my thing is like, I'm like, Goodwill does that's my first, this is actually what I said to Gary, because I said this, I kind of the same question. I was like, what do you say to people that like, are like, oh, a person in need could use this couch.
Right.
And then before he answered, I said, what I always say is Goodwill's business model.
Right.
Is they will take stuff from other people that you can just drop off, and then they resell that.
Yeah, just like Savers. Yeah,
And Savers is the same. And I'm like, why are these massive corporations? Right. You guys are cool when they do it.
Yeah.
But heaven forbid a guy that was drowning in student loan debt tries to get out of his own debt by his own means, you have a problem with it, you know?
And the other thing is that Savers and I think Goodwill, they are nonprofits.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they don't make profit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They crush it.
So I actually read about Savers, and they've been in business for 50 years. And they literally just grab stuff for free, and then they literally flip them.
Yes.
they literally sell stuff that they get for free.
Right.
And then you may say, well, yeah, but these are people that are in need. But the reality is that the money that they're making is for multiple companies that they own.
Right.
So yeah, they own nonprofits, and they have the social cause and everything. But there is also people that are making a shit ton of money off of this.
And like, I love when someone says like, oh, it's for nonprofit. It kind of gets a little dark and disgusting when you double click into that. Because so we're toying with the idea of opening up a nonprofit ourselves. And one of the questions when you're filling out your sheet with the state is you got to have 4 members. And then you literally have to list out what each member's salary is.
Right.
So I called the State Department of New Hampshire. And I'm like, what do you put? It's a nonprofit. And they're like, yeah, but all you guys, you're going to take a salary.
Yeah.
And I was like, you motherfucker.
No, that's what. No, exactly. Because I don't know if you knew this, but I worked for a nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
In Dorchester. It's called Code Squad. So shout out to them. And I remember working with the CEO at the time, and he would tell me the donations that we get from people and from all these banks and from all these corporations is to pay our salaries. This is not to help our cause.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Dude, this was probably a year ago. I saw Barstool did a whole piece on this, and they pulled up Wounded Warriors Foundation, all these others. And they, like Wounded Warriors, I vividly remember, I'll have to pull up the article on this. It was something along the lines of their gross proceeds, only 16% actually goes to the cause.
Yeah.
And the rest goes to everyone's fat salaries on there. Like, that's,
no, that's crazy.
Nuts.
And then you think, like, you know, my mom, this happened last week. My mom was like, hey, can't pick up this couch. And then the guy's like, I'm not interested in selling this couch to someone that's going to resell it.
Oh.
And I was like, don't respond.
You should send me next time. I'll pick it up for you in disguise and just bring it to you.
Yeah, because if you don't want to sell it, you don't want to sell it.
Right.
Like, we're not going to force you to sell your couch.
Right.
And if you want to sell it to somebody else, then that's fine.
That right there, I've never understood, because a lot of the questions I'll get when I used to post about Flip Life heavily, I'm sure you've gotten it 1,000 times, is what do you say if people, so a lot of the comments would be like, oh, I would never want to do this because I'd be so worried the person I picked up the free item for is going to see it listed. And I'm like, hypothetically, once that sale is made, even if it's a $0 exchange,
it's your property.
I could light that couch on fire tonight.
It's yours.
And there's nothing that, you know what I mean? Like, that's it's this.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's once you pick it up, and once it's yours, like once you bring it back to the unit, you can do whatever you want with it.
Right.
You can sit on it, you can nap on it, you can light it on fire.
Yeah.
Or you can resell it.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy when it's used for something for good. And this is, by the way, like, of those listening, this is like 4% of people talk like this. You know, the rest, the whatever that difference is, 96% of people that are like, good for you, this is amazing.
Right.
But it's really the 4% that are like negative about it. But yeah, why is it when it's used for good, if it's used to get you out of, like, someone like myself that's in a bad financial situation, it gets demonized, you know? But if I lit that couch on fire, the owner would be like, oh, okay,
yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Yeah.
Oh, you made $100? Like,
so I think it's because I think that the seller is missing an opportunity to sell the couch. So it's missing an opportunity to make money off of the couch.
Right.
So if you really want to donate it, you can bring it to Savers or Goodwill or whatever you want. But I think it's that missed opportunity to make money.
Totally.
And when they see that you're making money off of the product that was yours or that item that was yours, then that's when it gets finicky, because then they start thinking, oh, that could have been me. Right.
And that's when I remind everyone too, like, everything you bought it's crazy. The business structure of finding things for free and then reselling them is the same business structure for anything you buy as a consumer, you know? If you buy anything. If you buy this phone for whatever it was, $1,300.
Yeah.
Apple has profited because they turn around and when they buy it overseas, it's made and manufactured for much
You know
less.
what's the cost of production of an iPhone?
Ooh, no. What is it?
It's like $10 per iPhone. Dude, literally, look
To
this
make
up.
this,
Look this
it's
up.
10. No, I believe you. This is $10 to make and manufacture.
And then they sell it for $1,400. Isn't that crazy?
And it's how I always test people's like business muscle when they come at you for the Flip Life stuff, because I'm like, the device you are literally commenting on, you bought for $1,300, and they made, what is that, $1,290 profit off you.
Like Ray-Bans,
Yep.
like the sunglasses, the shades. The cost of production of those, it's like, dude, you can look this up. I can't remember the exact number, but it's like $5.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
I think it's like even less than that.
Yep.
And then they sell them for like 150.
Right.
Per set. And it's like, that's crazy.
That's
That's huge profit.
ludicrous. But it's how the world works.
That's how it works.
Business works. That's how
And
basic economics
anyone
work.
can do this,
Right.
You can go to Goodwill and you can start flipping blogs, or
Yep.
you can just, I don't know, go to flea markets or
Right.
whatever it is, and you can start flipping. I
Right.
mean, it's
what would be
the
your
information is out there.
Right. For those listening, they're like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get started. What is your first piece of advice to have them start in this whole Flip Life journey?
That's a good question. I would say first, don't be scared. I would say try to find something that you're comfortable with. So I wouldn't be comfortable selling cars.
Right.
A lot of people are very good
true.
at selling used cars, and I don't know anything about cars. I know a lot about couches.
Right.
But I would say just start small, and just pick up an item that you're comfortable with.
Totally.
Even if it's like, I don't know, sport cards, or even
Yep.
if it's like mugs, like we talked about, or if it's like shoes or anything,
Right.
anything like that, and then just start scaling from there.
Totally.
Right. So I kind of want to start flipping not couches, houses,
Dude,
but
maybe that's where you and I partner. There
hopefully.
could be a partnership there.
Yeah, I want to start flipping houses, but I'm too scared.
Yeah.
I'm too scared because the risk
Right.
is humongous.
Right.
Like, it's just so big. You can lose money on that. And
That's whenever I think like that, that's when I immediately go, okay, I have to partner to off a little bit of the risk. Like we're over last week we looked at I'll have to show it to you after this. We looked at a 11 unit multifamily out in Keene, fully occupied. They're asking a little under $1 million. It was like 936,000, something like that. But it's commercial, so you'd have to put down at least 25-30% on commercial.
yeah, that's a lot.
So you're talking like whatever it was, almost 300,000, a little under that. It was like 278,000. So for me, I'm like, to off a little bit of this risk, let me get a partner.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. We partner with a buddy of mine that does all of our merch. Partner with him, 50-50 partners. It brings your down payment down of what you're going to have to actually spend out of pocket.
Right.
So that's whenever I'm like, it's a little risky, but I want to get into it. That's immediately when I'm like,
Yeah.
I got a buddy.
The
up.
bigger the risk, the bigger the profit.
Yeah, totally.
But
Totally.
I just don't have the connections.
Yeah.
And I don't have, because I feel that if you talk to someone that flips houses for a living, I feel that person would be like, oh yeah, it's totally easy.
Yeah.
You just flip the house, and this is how you do it.
Yep.
This is the process. I've done it a million times, and yeah,
Right.
I've made huge profits. I've made mistakes, but I flip couches right now, so I know how to do it.
Right.
And I know that there's some people out there that are like, oh, I wouldn't be able to do that. And it's like, yeah, we can all do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I can flip houses too. You
Yep.
can flip couches too if you want to, but we just don't have the knowledge.
Right.
Or we just don't have the right connections.
Right.
And
Totally.
so I think it just all comes down to that.
100%.
Having the right connections and having the right skills as well.
Yeah. Looking forward, what are you guys looking to do in the couch world? Like, are you looking? Is it scaling? Is it?
Yeah.
I know we talked like maybe buying new and selling new.
Yeah,
Like,
so
what's
we
on the
recently,
horizon?
so we talked about this. We recently started selling new furniture as well. And this is something that we've been doing for 4 months, 5 months. So that's something that we're going to keep on doing.
Yep.
And then, building the brand. I think that
Yeah.
we're going to start building the brand. The more people that know about us, the better, because I think more people are going to know who we are.
Totally.
And then they're going to know, I'm willing to sell this couch. I've had people that are like, hey, you sold me this couch last year, 2 years ago. I'm willing to sell it back to you.
Yes.
So we want to bring more of those people. We want people to think, oh, I need to sell my couch. I'm going to reach out to Reformies.
Right.
I'm going to go on reformies.com. I don't want people to go on Facebook Marketplace just because, first, there is a lot of scammers. And second, you need to deal with so many people.
Yep.
And it's shady and sometimes it's like crazy. I mean, you've done this.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes you deal with people that are like crazy. Sometimes they lowball you.
Yep.
Sometimes, so.
You get the biggest scam I've been seeing for a while was like, we're in a really bad situation, and my mom is this, and my dad is this, and then you click on it, and you're like, oh, this is a scam.
Yeah, or sometimes they say, hey, can we trade couches, and they send you a link.
Yes.
And you're just like, I don't want to hit on that.
Or when you first post a couch, this is the newest, this might be old news to you since you do it a lot more. When I first post a couch, I'll get a message maybe an hour later, hey, is this available? I'll pick it up right now. What's your cell phone number?
Right.
And immediately I'm like, swipe.
Yeah,
this is a scam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I think that instead of you dealing with all these different things with the scammers and shady people, you can just go to reformies.com.
Yep.
And that's when you be like, hey, I want to sell this couch.
Yeah.
In which case you would deal with me.
Right, right.
I'm a real person.
Right.
This is what I do for a living.
Right.
And then we can buy your couch. And then right now we're focused on high-end couches. So we don't buy we don't pick up free couches anymore, and we don't buy couches that are not branded.
Right.
So if it's not a West Elm or a Restoration Hardware or any of those, we don't pick up the couch. So if it's from IKEA, we don't pick up the couch.
Yep.
If it's from Wayfair,
God, your days of the used futon are behind you.
Exactly,
the $80 score.
Exactly, yeah. So we're willing to pay a little bit more for these kind of couches.
Yep.
We've gotten crate and barrels for like $300-$400, and then we flip them for like $1,400.
Yes,
$1,500.
hell yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
So yeah,
I love it. This is why I wanted to jam with you, man. It was when you and I first met at that storage unit. I was like, it's interesting because I mean, you run into it more than I do, but you maybe run into other people in the business, and they look at you as like a competitor, and like there's just so, in my opinion, there's room for everyone at the table. Like there's room for everyone to eat. I do it, you do it. They'll be listening to this too. Two couch flippers in Boston area. Mitch and Brendan. They both are in the same market we are. And yet you and I crossed over just because we were in the same proximity at a storage unit. But like I never run into I never run into a supply issue, and I, anytime I look, and there's so many tactics like changing your radius or expanding and shrinking your radius or doing New Hampshire for a day or Rhode Island for a day. Yeah. But there's so much volume of items out there. Like, for those that are on the fence about starting, like, doesn't have to be furniture. It could be home decor.
Yeah, it could be anything.
I was doing fitness, to your point. Like, Nick used to watch me sweat getting a treadmill off of the back of the truck.
A treadmill. Dude, I remember that day. I was like, this guy's crazy. Like, I would never flip a treadmill. Because those are heavy. Those are heavy.
Heavy, and then, like, unlike a couch, like, you know how you can, if a couch falls, it's not the end of the world. Like, or if it gets bashed up. If a treadmill even remotely, either they're in transit, shakes too much, it's got electrical damage. Like if it gets wet, it's over. And then the hardest thing is when people come to the storage unit, they want to test it. So now I'm like,
so they start running on the treadmill.
And then I'd have to find. I think there was one on, because I used to be upstairs. I think there was a one outlet. So I'd run this big long extension cord, plug it in. They'd come and jog on it, No. And then you deliver it. They want to test that. Since the last time they tried it to delivery, it still works. So now I'm in their house being like, please just turn it on. Just get me out of here. I'm the same as you. Now my I don't do any more treadmills. And then kind of similar to you, like my new rule is if I wouldn't myself put it in either the studio here or my own home, I won't touch it.
Yeah. So we only pick up couches that are high end.
Right.
So we're 100% focused on that. And I've had people being like, hey, do you want to buy my IKEA couch? Because I understand. I mean, some people don't understand the business. Right. And that's totally fine. But I've had people being like, I've got this IKEA and I'm selling it for $1,000.
Right.
You buy it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, not happening.
Like, no,
Yeah,
that's not
there's
gonna
no
happen.
more profit margin
I can give you
after this.
200 if
Right.
you want to.
Oh
Yeah.
God! Where I want to make sure we plug you up. Where can everyone find you on social media? I know you said your website, but drop that again. I want to make sure we can just plug you up.
Yeah,
across the
website
board.
is reformeast.com, and then on Instagram, reformeast. And I told you I recently started creating content.
Yes.
It's 100% in Spanish because I'm
Hell yeah.
Hispanic, so I
Yep.
want to bring all these knowledge to the Hispanic community.
Oh, I love
so,
it. Is there dude, you know what a video? Maybe this is where we collab. You and I should go. Where are you from originally?
Colombia.
Maybe we go to Colombia. Can you use Facebook Marketplace in Colombia?
I think it just started last
Imagine
year.
you and I through Colombia or Mexico or anywhere in South
Dude,
America
let's go.
doing the flip
Let's
life
go,
and
dude.
trying to just to film it all. You know?
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm down. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm from Colombia. I've been here for like 10 years.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if you know many Colombians, but
I don't.
dude, shout out to East Boston and Revere. That's where all the Colombians are.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but this one is called Nico Emprender. So I'll give you the handle.
Yes, please.
So if you go there, that's where I talk about entrepreneurship. I talk about my journey as an entrepreneur. I talk about books that I've read about
Oh, hell yeah.
entrepreneurship. I talk about stories about entrepreneurs. And I just recently started like a couple of months ago.
Let's go.
So yeah, that's where you can find me. And if you wanna sell your couch,
yes.
reach
Plug
out
it.
to me.
Let's go.
Reformeast.com. That's where you would just reach out. Only high-end couches. If you have an IKEA, so sorry. I have other people. I know someone like you. Her name is Maggie.
Yep.
She only buys free couches, or she
there we
doesn't
go.
buy them. She picks them up.
She's just like me, yeah.
But she can have the last time I talked to her, she had 35 couches.
Oh my God.
Yeah. She's got 3 units. She's in Hingham. And
Jeez.
she just picks up free couches.
Mitch Leonard, listening to this show,
Yeah,
you better
yeah.
step up your game, pal.
Yeah.
I know he's got a storage unit that's probably has 3 couches in there.
No, she's
30 plus?
Yeah, she's got 30, and sometimes she's even come to my unit and being like, "I need you to help me get rid of these couches."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, how much are you selling them for?"
Yeah.
And that's how it all starts.
Yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, she's killing it. She's killing it. She's every time I talk to her, she's like, "I'm not in Boston. I'm traveling.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing
Yep.
that." She bought a Rolex and stuff. I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh wow, you're killing it
Dude,
out
the
here."
flip
Yeah,
life's
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand.
Yeah.
People, when you talk about it, think it's like, oh, you're probably making a couple $100.
Yeah.
Like, it's life-changing
Yeah,
money out here.
No, she's like, last time I talked to her, she was like, I had so many couches. I had to stop for a while because I was making so much money. So I got distracted. And I was
Imagine
like,
that
wait,
problem.
you got distracted?
I
I
gotta
want to
cool
live
down.
that life.
Is it Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Making too much money, I lost track.
No, because I've talked to her and she's always like, she's a super nice lady. And she's like, I'm always picking up free couches.
Yeah.
Always. But she doesn't have a website. She's like 100% on Facebook.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Thank you.
It's so
I
cool
appreciate it,
to
man.
have met you in passing, both on our grind,
yeah,
flipping
yeah.
furniture, to
Yeah.
now come to this moment. And
Yeah.
I'm pumped to see where we can take it, man. So
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Anytime. Thank you, dude.
Bye.